It is Wednesday, and you know what that means. Hello again, everybody. Johnny Styles here with the Wellness Observer Live. It is June 8th, 2022. We got a lot of news for you. So let's get right to it. We had not one, but two shows this weekend. One here in not so sunny Miami, Florida, and then we had another one up north in Toronto. The Toronto Super Show was held this weekend alongside the Miami Mucsle Beach in Miami, Florida. So before I get into it, I gotta say thanks to the IFBB Pro League and the NPC, the entire Mannion family, and Fit Life Productions with Giovanni Paola. They treated me like royalty. They gave me VIP access to you guys so I could bring you all the action from the show. The show ran fantastic. Believe it or not, it was supposed to be a tropical storm here in Florida. And when we got to the venue, it was packed. Believe it or not, this was people coming from everywhere in the country. And it still was a show that I could not wrap my hand around. I mean, I kind of did because, like I said in my previous show, I always knew somehow, some way that since the beginning of the show, like years prior, it kept getting better and better. And let me tell you that the show delivered. We had a blast, great times, not only with the expo. I met some of you online that I've never met in person. So I met you guys in person. It was really really cool, and it's nice to meet you in person and just chat about the entire wellness division, which is the division that I love as the godfather of wellness. So I'm very grateful and I'm very thankful for the treatment and for the league letting me give you guys a front row ticket. Because when I do cover the shows, I've been doing this for many, many years. I want you guys to feel there. And if you were following the stories, I took pictures of the judges, I took pictures of the fans, the crowd. I let you guys know ahead of time what's going to happen, which was I was going to give you guys the play by play of the athletes, and that was all after the prejudging. So if you bought the pay per view, I even let everybody know that the pay per view was great, and you can still watch it on pay per view. So again, great job by Fit Life Productions, the whole NPC IFBB Pro League. Kudos to them, and I was really happy to be there in person. So if you haven't gone to the Wellness Observer live page, you saw that I did a play-by-play on each of the girls, doing their first walkthrough as they came in the mandatories and their compulsory walks, and that's what I did. I think the only one, Deshandra Brown, was the only one that the microphone didn't work, but don't matter because now that the show is over, I can do it here and we can talk about it and I can show you videos while I'm talking about the athletes. So we're going to talk about the Miami Mucsle Beach Pro, and then we're going to talk about the Toronto Super Show. Coming in at eighth place from Orange Park, Florida, we had Deshandra Brown, and she was the first one that walked into the show. As you can see, she posts very gracefully. The one thing I saw about Deshandra was that she does have some round glutes, and when you see her in person, she has some one of the roundest physiques I've seen, meaning round glutes, hamstrings, quads, a little bit of everything. Her midsection was a little bit tight too, but what happened with Deshandra, she was not in shape, she was not in condition, especially when she does this back pose. You can see that there's nothing happening here, and then when she walks towards the judges, you can see there was barely any lines in her quads. She has some calves on this side pose at the end. If you see her, she doesn't even need to put her hip out. It's one of those things that she has so much roundness in that glutes, and she doesn't need to stick the hip out. I think we need to see her tighter. I think we need to see her more conditioned to do battle with the girls on the Olympia lineup. Seventh place from Fort Worth, Texas, Mia Samuels comes in here. Very pretty girl, very good smile. I liked her smile a lot. When she walks, she has a good walk, very good stage presence. She seems a little small on the smaller side to my liking. She almost looks like a bigger bikini girl. I would like to see her with a little bit more size overall, especially on the glutes. When she comes from the back, you can see there's some quad development and there's some calves in there. And there's a little slightly look at her teardrop, her glute hamstring teardrop. But their lines of conditioning simply are just not there. And in the posing, you can see it. Even when she walks to the back, there's nothing really happening right here. So she needs, she needs to get bigger in her glutes and hams. In sixth place, Natalia Prado, straight from Colombia. Very pretty girl. She was one of the girls that people thought she was going to make a huge splash. And from the front, she looks good doing the Elba Peka pose here, transitional pose. But when she turns to the back, her glutes were not as conditioned as her front, but basically, when we saw him from the front, she was pretty hard in the morning. But then when she turned from the back, nothing was really popping, especially watching the show in person right there, close to the judges, close to the competitors. You can really see the detail. And she was just not having any details from her glutes and her hamstrings. In fifth place, Rafael Sen, straight from Brazil, comes back here a little bit more conditioned than we saw her at the New York Pro. She still has some weird shoes. How come nobody has told her that these are not the shoes for the IFBB Pro League? But I gotta say, in person, she does have some presence, and she has one of the fullest glutes I've seen in forever. Not only that, you could just see the teardrop, the abductors, and you can see crazy calves. Okay, these calves are golden on her. The glutes are super full. I would rather say super extra full. Maybe the glutes of steel. So she moves up a couple placings up here and places fifth. We will expect to see a little bit more from her because she does have, she has some body parts that are really impressive. In fourth place, somebody that really impressed me, really impressed the hell out of me because I haven't seen her in pretty much like a year. Kayla Rossi comes in here now living in Las Vegas, Nevada. Comes in here crazy from the front. The front post for Kayla, when she did it, the entire crowd went and gasped. That's how powerful that pose was for her. Everything was good, the hair, the makeup, the tanning on her was everything was good. Now, when she turned to the side post, that's where you could see that she's having a little bit of problems, and it's just like I predicted. Kayla still needs to bring her glutes up. If there's somehow, some way, if Kayla could have bring those glutes to the same size and condition and shape of those quads and hamstrings and calves, she will be winning shows left and right, let me tell you. So you got to also remember, Kayla has done not one but two spinal surgeries. Maybe somehow, some way that is hindering her from achieving those glutes that we need to see on stage. This is an entirely different Kayla Rossi than the one that we were used to seeing in the fitness world. Absolutely night and day. I am really happy. I told her personally, I'm like, Kayla, I'm really proud of you because you've developed a crazy physique. You just have to get your glutes up there. So, congrats to Kayla. She looked absolutely phenomenal. But just like I said, her glutes need to come up big time. In third place from Hollywood, Florida, Shayla Martin. She comes back. Now, the cyst that she had on that right side is moved out. She looked absolutely phenomenal. A little bit too conditioned for the class. This is something that Shayla is like Dexter Jackson. She always comes in crazy condition, maybe too conditioned for the class. She probably needed to eat a little burger and fries or a pizza or something because she was dry. You see when her glutes pop out, the way her glutes and her hams and her quads and her front quads, holy moly. I mean, you can just see it here posing. When she's walking alone, you can see every fiber boom hitting it. So For Shayla, that is what it is. She came into condition, and the judges still rewarded her with a third place finish. But boy, oh boy, was she's conditioned. So I liked her. It's just she's a little bit too hard for the class. In second place, we got Judian Winston came in here, and trust me, she did deliver. Great side poses, great lines, great quads, great calves, good midsection, great glutes, great transitions. She did it all. She blew my mind away, honestly. When I saw her, this is this is a Judian Winston that would have given a Sunny Andrews some problems. Okay. So when I see her up there and see her walking, I see those calves popping and her hamstrings and her glutes and her posing and everything. I really, really was impressed with this Judian Winston. Honestly, I couldn't find any mistakes on her on this day. So I was really impressed. I was really impressed with her, and I saw her backstage, and you can tell that she was hurting because she placed second place. But boy, oh boy, did she deliver in my book. And in first place, the heavy favorite Giselle Machado comes here from Brazil, now residing in Mexico, I believe, but she's gonna be here now. Giselle, very pretty, very sexy, very sensual, just the way we are used to in Latin America. She comes here, great posing, great stage presence, good abs, a spectacular upper body, good hair, good makeup, good tanning, the whole 9 yards. Now, we've seen Giselle a lot harder. Her glutes, her hamstrings, and her calves were not the Giselle we've been seeing before. Now, she did win the show. And if you go back and you see my interview with her, I asked her straight on, is this the body that expecting? And is this what can you do to make this body better? And the mark of a champion, right? It's when the champion kind of tells you that she was not in her best shape. She was nervous. She was holding a little bit of water, and for somebody that just won a show and accept that, it tells a lot from the champion, right? So when you see these comparisons, okay, and I'm gonna put them on screen so you can see it. You see the lines of Judian from her adductors, hamstrings, and glutes and calves. And then you just see Giselle with a little film of water. Very beautiful shape. Nobody's telling no to that. But when you see them in motion, you can see that Judian is way more conditioned, meaning when you see Franciele Matos, she does have some lines that resemble what Judian has. I would have not had an issue with Judian winning the show. Okay. I respect the judge's opinion, but being there in person and knowing the body of Giselle, like I've known this body before, I know Giselle wasn't 100%. Similar to what Dexter Jackson does. Dexter Jackson always comes in shape. He's the blade, no matter what. So when he comes in shape, it doesn't matter if he's the smallest guy on stage. The bigger guys that were supposed to be beating him, they lose on conditioning. Okay, so you gotta ask yourself the same question: is this Giselle next to like a Franciele or next like an Isa Pereira? Would this Giselle would have flared up, compared to them, or will Judian will compare a little bit more? So those are my thoughts on this amazing show. All these girls were up there. They did battle. The top the top two was really, 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 really close. But Giselle, in my opinion, was still holding a film of water, especially on the glutes and hams. In the night show, I'll be the first one to say that Giselle looked a little bit better, a tad drier. Maybe she ate something. Maybe her nerves weren't there. This is the first time Giselle steps on stage in America. So she did look better, in my opinion, when she did that show. I believe it was in Mexico, and she won that show. So we are used to seeing Giselle harder. So to see her softer from the back was not something I was expecting. And then you have Judian, which should, in my opinion, she looked great from everywhere. So That's my opinion. I wouldn't have any problem having Judian winning the show. But Giselle won the show. She is extremely happy. She's going to go to the Olympia. You could tell in her face and her emotion that that is something that she's been wanting forever, and especially from Latin American athletes that have never competed in the IFBB Pro League to be able to go to the Olympia stage. That's something that a few years ago that were not even, it was even an illusion for them. So overall, it was a great show. I enjoyed just being there and watching the girls on stage. I can show you a little bit of how they looked. These are the last top four from that call out. You can see, you have Mia, you have Rafael, you have Natalia Bravo, you have Deshandra Brown in here, and you can see when they turn to the back, only barely Rafael is the one that has that teardrop, hamstring, and calves. But all these girls have calves. Natalia needs a lot more calves. But see how the other girls compared to Rafael, they don't have that hardness. They don't have that look that Giselle um and Judian and Winston had. So in reality, some people like Giselle, some people like Judian. I wouldn't have any problem with Judian winning the show, but Giselle won. I'm happy for her. And you will expect to see Giselle in a lot more shows because she wants to do more shows. And that's what we need. So that's going to do it for the Miami Muscle Beach Pro. Now we're going to head over to the Toronto Pro Super Show, which also had a live stream and also was one of those shows that it did have some problems in the live stream, but overall it did what it needed to do, which was show the girls, and I'm going to talk about them all because I need to talk about them. Right now, we knew the heavy favorite was going to be Cass Gillis, and she indeed delivered. Coming in seventh place from Gilbert, Arizona, Angela White comes in here. I believe her tanning need to be a little bit darker, and overall, she has some good glutes. I would like to see those glutes bigger, and her legs need to get bigger. Her calves need to get bigger, and she needed to be more conditioned to do battle in this show. In sixth place, we have Celeste Morales. Kind of the same thing with Celeste. I think the problem with her was a little bit of the tanning at first too, because the tanning on her kind of looked a little bit, blotchy. But with Celeste, her her quads from the side kind of need more size to them. Same thing with the calves. The calves need, absolutely, they need work on. And the glutes, I can say the upper glutes still needs work. And their posing can be a little bit better, especially on the side post where her right shoulder is a little bit up compared to the left one. Overall, she needs a lot more conditioning and she needs to work on these calves and her quads from the right side. In fifth place, from my hometown of Caguas, Puerto Rico, Normari Fonseca. This is her IFBB Pro Wellness debut. And I got a lot to say about her because a lot of people expected her to do a big splash, okay? And while she's done some great muscular development in the past year, something was a little bit off to me. Number one, she always looked like her stomach was a little bit distended. Maybe it's her posing. Maybe it's the way she was taught to pose. Maybe it was the way she was breathing. Another thing that I saw, and this is something that you can apply to a lot of the girls, is that she didn't smile on stage. And one of her coaches is Karen Reyes, IFBB figure pro from Puerto Rico. Guess what? She had the same problem as Normari right now. Every time Karen went on stage, she didn't smile. She didn't smile. Well, there was not one picture where I saw Normari here smiling at all. Okay. So for all you girls watching or hearing this podcast, presentation is really, you want to look like you're happy to be there. You want to look happy. You want to look excited. You want to look at those judges, the crowd, your fans. You want to look like you're happy. You don't want to look like you're distressed or you're I don't want to say like a bitchy face, but unless that's the face you want to make on purpose, then you do that. But you don't want to look like you're not happy on stage. The judges look at all of that. She does have she can get better, especially in her quads from the side, especially when she does that quarter turn pose. Her shoulders are a little bit too big, a little bit too big. She does look very figure-ish, especially the way she's posing on this quarter turn. When she's gonna turn around and do a transition, you can still see that, while she does have a great midsection, it's kind of coming out here a little bit more. When she does like the elbow pickup pose to the back, her calves need work. Glutes are amazing. She's one of the best glutes that I've seen in a while. You can see those glutes from here to Puerto Rico. That's how good those glutes are. But her calves need work. It's kind of like her hamstrings and her quads need work. Overall, they need to get bigger because she needs to get bigger. While she's standing next to these girls, she still looks smaller-ish. Not her glutes. Her glutes are fine, but the overall package that she brings. So I'm really happy she did her pro debut, and I'm sure this was like a warm-up show. So we'll see her at the Puerto Rico Pro, if I'm not mistaken. So congratulations to her joining the IFBB Pro League. Daniela Diana, straight from Brazil, comes in here, and she does need work again on her calves, her hamstrings. From the side, her legs are pretty not that big. It seems like her tanning here could have been a little bit darker, but you know, it also depends on the type of skin and the product that the person is using. Her calves need absolute work, and her quads, especially from the quarter turns, need work. Well, if you're gonna talk about surprises, Anne Marie Gobelli, I think I'm saying the name right, Gobelli, Gobel. So I'll in the future I'll know because I'm usually very good with names. But she's from Quebec, Canada. She won her pro card on Saturday and dove into the IFBB Pro League the next day as a pro, and she nailed it. She took third place. Great color, great side profile, great quads, great glutes, great stage presence overall. In reality, when she turns to the back and she's doing like a transition move that I'm showing on screen right now, you can see the amount of detail she had in those glutes. Does she need to be a little bit more in the upper glute area? Sure. Can her calves come in a little bit more? Sure. But overall, she impressed the hell out of me. She was good, and this girl will be really, really good. In second place, another Canadian, Emily Azzarello, another Canadian that you guys send me all bunch of DMs, basically talking about Emily and how good she looked and her presence and her shape and her structure. And let me tell you guys something straight from the bat. She did deliver. I really like her stage presence, her overall look. Her quads can be bigger, especially for her outer quad. But from the back, she was killing it from the back. Great teardrop, great calves, great hamstrings, good stage presence overall. She looked absolutely fantastic. So, the only thing that, she did have a little bit of an issue was when she turned to the quarter turns. Okay. Because now when I talk about Cassandra Gillis winning the show, she has the overall package. You guys have, it seems like every show that I do, I'm talking about Cass. So she gets better every show. What you see on pictures, sometimes it's not what you see in person. When you see her in person, you can totally see a different competitor. What sets Cass apart from a lot of girls is her quarter turn. When you see this quarter turn, you pay attention. She is facing quarter turn to the right here. Her right leg right there with those lines, that calf, that pointed up, leg, it's super impressive. And when you do that and you're next to the other girls on the lineup, you can tell that, she has more developed quads than the rest of the lineup. This is where a lot of people were asking me about it. And I told you guys, the ones that I replied, Cass is still beating these girls on the quarter turns. If anything, I think Anne Marie gave Cass a good run for her money, especially from the side. From the back, you could see Emily right there doing battle with Anne, and again, Cass doesn't give her justice when she jumps in the back, especially from these comparison shots. But boy, oh boy, did Cass deliver! I really liked her overall stage presence, her tan, her makeup. Listen, sometimes you gotta do a show to do another show to do another show in order to wing and get your momentum up. She has been doing battle with all these girls, and eventually, hey, what better place to win a show that your own country, right? So I'm really happy that she nailed this show. Not only that, but all three, one, two, three Canadians are up there, and hey, first place, second place, and third place. How about that? So right now, I'm really happy. It was just two shows over there. One that I was totally there in person. We got one show coming up, the Titanz Pro, and it's gonna be in Georgia. And I think I'm not gonna speculate right now, but I really hope Daisha Johnson nails it because Daisha Johnson has one of the sickest bodies I've seen in the wellness division, but her conditioning has always been an issue, always. So I really wish and I hope that Daisha really brings it. I know she's been having some issues, and it's been a rough year for her. But boy, oh boy, would it be good if she wins this show. Now, Victoria Puentes, she came out of the blue because she was supposed to do New York or Pittsburgh, and she just didn't do any shows, not even this one in Florida, which I thought she was going to do. Victoria comes out of nowhere, and she's, putting her hat into the Titanz Pro, and let's see what's going to happen with Victoria. She's very dangerous. She's very dangerous when she nails it, especially from the back. And then we would have the Puerto Rico Pro, which I think is flaring up to be a very good battle with a lot of girls that you all liked in this industry. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Johnny Styles, the Godfather of Wellness. It's been 30 minutes already. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for, keeping in touch with the Wellness Observer Live on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple iTunes podcast, everything. If you can't hear it, you can see it at least. So thank you so much for watching. This has been Johnny Styles, the Godfather of Wellness, and I'll see you soon.